Let's go through Liquor 3144 minimal substring partition of equal character frequency. It gives us a string S, and we want to have the minimal substring partitions so that for each substring, they are balanced substring. So what is a balanced substring is that each character in this substring occurs the same number of times. So, for example, example one, right? So minimally we can partition it to three substrings. For example, FAB, because FAB both appears once. CCDD, CND appears both appears twice, and G, right? Or we can have FAC, CD, DG partition. So other way, the minimal is three. So what we're thinking about is that we consider if we have a string, right? If we know there is an I. So we can look into any j's from I to previous that satisfy that the interval from j to I, which the substring sj to I is the balanced substring, right? So if we find this kind of substring, then we'll see our i's minimal will be all of those possible j minus ones minimal plus one, right? Plus this kind of balanced substring. So we can think about this as a DP problem. So what we do is that we iterate I and find all of the possible j's and get a minimum of j minus one plus one, right? So let's write code for this. And we are going to have private final static int I equals integer dot max value and 2. And let's change this kind of character char array equals s to char array. So what we do is that let's have int a equals array dot length. I'm going to have one more index for this DP. So will be new int n plus one, right? So that's because that means that we want to have dpi equals minimum of dpj minus one plus one, right? So even at index zero, right? Or index zero, j is for example j is at zero, right? The worst case, if we have one more index, this j is 1, right? So dp0, we can use the dummy. We initialize first. So what we do is that we can, because we want to have the minimal, right? So we can have arrays here dp to be I in f, and we're going to have dp0 to be 0. So when we write code is that for loop for int I equals 1, I smaller than n plus 1, right? I plus plus. So we want to see, for example, this is dpi, right? This character, it is character actually I minus 1. So, how can we find the j, right? Instead of to iterate the strings from j to I, we can have a counter array, which because this is trying for j, what we do is that we can iterate from I to 0, right? So it is an window, right? We can consider this is right side is fixed and left side we are expanding. So instead of to uh, use substring j to I plus 1, we can have just use a counter array. Every time we j index decrease by 1, we just add one count into this counter array, right? So that this one we can change 1 to be a 1, right? So let's write code for this. We can use a counter array for this kind of characters because there are only lowercase letters. We can use new int 26. Then what we do is that for int j equals I, j is greater equal to 1, right? J plus plus minus minus. Then we are going to have char array j, because there is one index difference, so we should have a j minus 1, right? Because we have a count. Uh, so every time we move the j for one index lex, we have add one characters to our sliding window. So we'll say if is a valid count, is balanced, whatever, we can call is balanced count. Then we are going to have dpi equals max.min dpi and dp should j minus 1, right? Because j is included. And in the end, we need to return dp. And so we need to write a private boolean is balanced based on this counter, right? So this is actually just an 26, right? So we just iterate. For example, int v equals minus 1. What we do is for int count in counts, count. If count equals 0, we should continue. Only when count is not 0, right? So we'll say if this v is minus 1, that means this is the first time we find a count. Then we'll set v equals count, right? And we'll say else, if v doesn't equal to count, but we'll say else if v count doesn't equal to v, right? Means you have different counts. It's not balanced, so return false, and otherwise return true, right? For this code, right, there is another way to check balance. Is that possible? We have write minimal counts and the maximal counts in the end. Compare if minimum counts equals maximal counts. Of course, for minimal counts, the max counts, we should have a counts equal to 0 should continue, right? And and also that for that part, we should special case. For example, each only have one character have counts. It should be fine, right? We don't need to worry about that. We just need to compare if minimal equals to maximum. That is doing it's okay as well, right? So if for example, mean equals max dot mean mean count, and the max equals max dot max count, right? And return mean equals max, right? So Okay, so doing like this, the time complexity because there is two for loops, so will be O n squared, um, and the check balance is O 26, right? So it's O n squared multiplied by 26 time complexity, and space will be O n for dp, right? And we can also write a Python code for this. Um, so we're going to have n equals length s, and we're going to have dp equals float inf multiplied by n plus 1, and dp 0 equals 0. So what we do is that for I in range from 1 to n plus 1, for we create a count array, right? Count equals this one multiplied by 26. Then for j in range from I to 0, minus 1, right? Then we're going to have a count ORD, ORD S, S J minus 1, right? Because we add one more index minus ORD A. This one should increase by 1, right? So if um is balance balanced count, right? Then we're going to have a DPI if then DPI equals min DPI and DP j minus 1 plus 1, right? And in the end, it's a return DP n, right? So we can also define is balanced is balanced. So count this is this int. So this one is going to return boolean. So what it is that v equals minus 1 for c in count. So if c equals 0, we should continue. And else if we'll say if v equals minus 1, right? We'll have set c, set v equals c. And we'll say else if c doesn't equal to v, return false. And in the end, return true.